Hey everyone, and welcome back to another industry report. Today we're going to be focusing on BlizzCon 2019. And really, while it may have seemed like there was a lot writing this, and I suppose there technically is, it's quite simple to explain. First, we're going to talk about the Hong Kong situation, the update there. Then we're going to talk about the release date, then the games, and basically I'll go over the overall outlook for Blizzard Entertainment. So, we'll kick it off with the HK situation. I'll give them credit for one thing. Yeah, before the opening ceremony started, Jab went out there, and yeah, he talked about it. Now, that said, I think there was some wins here and some losses. I think the win is really one of aesthetics, right? He seemed convincing, it seemed heartfelt, I think it was emotionally resonant. However, there's a very clear aspect where, yeah, they kind of lost, and that was that there was no meaningful update. Like, they actually didn't say anything. I mean, they vaguely said, we love it when our community comes together, we love hearing what everyone's got to say. He did pretty much directly allude, he basically did allude to the protests that were going on and how they encourage that sort of thing and they're listening to that sort of thing. He did say that, they moved too fast, that he took accountability for that. And yeah, that's all good stuff. But at the end of the day, yeah, Blitzchung has his 6-month suspension for what he did. Same goes for the American University team. Ultimately, that's what Blizzard's policy has been. So whether you agree or disagree on that policy, I mean, that really is the important thing here. While I think this was a good display, it was emotionally resonant, at the end of the day, we do have to focus on the actual facts of the matter. And the facts of the matter are that even though J. Allen Brack did have his opening statement about the issue, it really didn't change anything. I think it was just them trying to set a sort of reconciliatory tone for BlizzCon. Has that worked? Has that not? Well, I think it may have worked for some of the people on the ground at the show. I think broadly in the internet, though, most people have sort of thought, yeah, I mean, emotionally resonant, but you didn't really say anything, did you? And that pretty much is my thought on the matter as well. Then next up, let's talk about the key announcements and release dates. So Diablo 4 really was the big one, and I think it had an absolutely gorgeous opening cinematic. I love the return to the dark. I thought that Diablo 3 really sacrificed much of what made D2 so iconic, so it's very nice to see it just be full of gore and absolutely be disgusting. I am totally down for that. So that was great to see. Seeing the actual gameplay though, I mean, there's good things there, there's also less good things. I think overall it's indicative of Diablo 4 being actually quite early on in development, and this is not something that I anticipated. I mean, the game director for Diablo 4 said it's not coming soon, not even Blizzard soon. Now, it is the case they announced it on the PC, Xbone, and PS4, which you may think means the next 18 months or so for its release window, but at the end of the day, the new consoles could come out, they could just update those console numbers. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if D4 is 2021. And really much of the reason that I'd say that is just what you see when you look at the gameplay trailer. So those environments, I think they're gorgeous. There's also people who said they look really bad, and I just disagree with that. I mean, sure, if you pull the camera up close to those assets, they're not going to look incredible, but that's because they're assets designed for an isometric game, right? So I mean, yeah, I think it looks really good, actually. I love the art direction. I love the art style. It's pretty much what I wanted to see. I love how there's more verticality in the levels. I love a lot of the physicality, the gore, all of that stuff. Brilliant. However, when you looked at the actual combat animations, I mean, yeah, they really left a lot to be desired, didn't they? To be honest with you, Diablo Immortal actually looks, in a few ways, a bit better in regards to the character animations and the impact there. And I think all that means is that, Diablo Immortal is just piggybacking off what Diablo 3 looks like. Diablo 4, though, I mean, it's pretty obviously early in development. A lot of those animations look really rough. Just they don't have that Blizzard impact, especially with the new Druid class. And I think that does really show you that the game is pretty far away. So there's that. We then have Overwatch 2. Now this one is weird. Again, Jeff Kaplan said that he, quote, honestly has no idea when it's going to come out, which is a little bit odd. And really, Overwatch 2 is odd. I mean, is it even Overwatch 2 is pretty much what I'd say. It basically, to me, sounds like an expansion. The team said that they're kind of trying to redefine what a sequel is, but it's really odd language because basically the core here is Overwatch 2 gives you a new PvE system where you're doing missions, and a lot of those missions, I mean, most of them do just seem to be reusing maps. Now, there will be, I think, 5 new maps that come with Overwatch 2, and that they will have their own missions, but yeah, it does seem like they're reusing a lot of assets there, which I'll admit I was initially pretty disappointed about. Now, that said, the actual design for the characters and the RPG elements where you're upgrading your abilities, leveling up your heroes, that does seem seem like a pretty decent game loop. But what is odd to me is, I mean, it looks like an expansion. And the way that they're doing this is that if you have Overwatch 1, just Overwatch, the PvP game, well, you can keep on playing that. And you'll get all the new maps, you'll get all the new heroes. Overwatch 2, that's just the PvE thing. And if you want the PvE, then you have to purchase Overwatch 2. Now, I think that's, I mean, a part of the business model there is surprisingly fair. It means if you're just there for competitiveness, you don't have to buy their new game, and yeah, that's fairly interesting. Now, that said, splitting up that player base would run very counter to a lot of Blizzard's goals, so allowing you to still play the PvP game without purchasing Overwatch 2, having all of your progress like transfer across, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. But overall, yeah, to me, it sounds like an expansion that they're trying to bill as a, you know, as an Overwatch 2 in terms of, I'd imagine, their marketing, their box price and all of that, which is a little bit strange. Now, it did to me look like it actually should be out pretty soon, but no, according to Jeff Kaplan, it seems like it's quite some time off indeed. Now, the other big announcement is, of course, World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and it's a bit of an odd one. So to a lot of World of Warcraft players, we're very tired of Sylvanas having such a big role in the plotline, and this is, I've went into a lot more detail on my World of Warcraft channel, but yeah, I basically thought that the opening cinematic was pretty lame and boring from a character perspective, so I wasn't really into that. However, once we actually got into the panels, it did seem like they've just listened to a lot of player concerns. There still are some issues, but fundamentally, I'm a bit worried about the story, but like content systems design-wise, seems like it actually could be very solid indeed. Now, it's going to have a 2020 release date, and what's very interesting is that World of Warcraft Shadowlands, I mean, bar save the new Hearthstone expansion, is the only thing with a release date. And a part of me does wonder, are we going to have 2020 World of Warcraft Shadowlands, 2021 Overwatch 2, and 2022 Diablo 4? I mean, that does seem pretty much like what we're going to get. Jeff Kaplan actually talked about Overwatch 2 in such a way that it basically indicated that they're going to reveal it here, go dark, and then have more next BlizzCon, which to me does make it seem like Overwatch 2 will be a 2021 affair. So pretty much a game a year for Blizzard. Now, then you've got to wonder, will BlizzCon 2020 give us new IP? Because by that stage, I mean, what else will they have to announce with these new IPs? It's not, I mean, unless StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm magically come back into vogue, I've got to imagine new IP or something along those lines from Blizzard. So overall, I think just in terms of the content and the games, it's a little bit mixed. I think Overwatch 2 is a welcome thing, but it's just a bit odd the way that they're actually bringing it out into the world. But I'm pretty sure it will serve its audience well and that people will get a lot of enjoyment out of that. So that is a good thing. As for D4, yeah, it looks really early. I think it's good that they've been so clear that it is so very early in development. I'd be worried if some of the aspects that they've shown off there were very close to final. I mean, I'm happy they're going back to an older school style of, you know, skill trees and things like that, but I will admit, I'm pretty worried about it going a little bit more MMO-ish, a little bit more shared open world. There's just, you know, I get worried about, or is it going to be a live service roadmap? Is it going to be one of those games? So there's a little bit of worry there. I think fundamentally it could be a very enjoyable game though, but I do understand the skepticism that some people have towards it. Then, yeah, World of Warcraft Shadowlands, I mean, it's another WoW expansion. The lore is a little bit tiresome to me if I'm being honest, but I do think the content of the expansion will be pretty good. So in the scale of good BlizzCon to bad BlizzCon, I think this is, you know, middle plus, right? It's definitely weighed down by their pretty weak response to the Hong Kong situation at the start. Yes, emotionally resonant, but in terms of content, really not that much at all. World of Warcraft Shadowlands, yeah, another WoW expansion, that's all well and good. D4, I think a lot of people were expecting it to have been a little bit further along. From what we understood, it started development in like mid-2016. Seems like that actually may have been a bit slower than many of us had anticipated. So I think there'll be a little bit of disappointment there, but it's also important to say that those expectations, I mean, that was set by, say, reading the Diablo article by Kotaku, right? And kind of having expectations set by that. Blizzard actually didn't try to set those expectations. And then as for Overwatch 2, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much what I would have expected. I don't think it's going to set the world on fire, but I do think that its like audience will enjoy it a fair bit. So yeah, that's basically where I am with BlizzCon. I think that they are in for slow and steady, right? That's what I'd overall say. I think it's going to be a game a year. I think they'll be pretty good games, actually, and Blizzard will just sort of, you know, march up a little bit after they've just had their big dip of, you know, not releasing that much content. I don't think it's going to be a massive resurgence of, we've got 2 games 2020, Blizzard Entertainment is back, they are ruling gaming. Nah, I just don't think it's going to be of that speed. What will be very interesting to me, though, is I mean, this BlizzCon represents them sort of rushing to get these projects announced and, actually, getting them release dates and sort of getting them out there. But we do know that they've been working on a lot of other stuff. They've been trying to increase their developer headcount. So I've got to wonder what's it going to look like for new IP once we hit next year. Then I suppose as for how the markets will respond, because that is something that I am interested in. Actually, I do pay attention to the financial markets for all the games companies and their earnings reports. Well, the Blizzard earnings report is after BlizzCon, so I will report on that. And I think the stock reaction or the market reaction to this will be middling. I think they'll probably have a little bit of a stock bump. I think it will be pretty obvious that Shadowlands will do decent enough money. I think it'll be obvious that D4 and Overwatch will probably do good money, but I don't think it's going to be like an explosive growth that takes Blizzard back to maybe their 2018 highs in terms of their stock value. Now, that said, of course, it's not just Blizzard, it's Activision Blizzard that is the stock, and it is the case that Call of Duty Mobile has performed very well, and seemingly the Call of Duty Modern Warfare has performed extremely well in terms of its sales, even though that has been amid a lot of concerns about performance. So overall, there's a lot of analysis to come whenever the quarterly earnings do come out, and that's basically my thoughts on BlizzCon and kind of what's up there. I'd love to know, though, what do you think? Please let me know down below. And with that, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.